When Lin reached the dragon castle, his skeleton warriors were suddenly attacked and got destroyed. Lin didn't even see anything, and the skeleton warriors were not able to respond to the attack. Lin noticed that all the attacks came from behind. He thought, no matter what, I need to find a way to stop it. I can't let the attacks continue. Lin summoned the skeleton ice and wind mages since it was an invisible monster. Then Lin ordered the mages to cast spells that affect a large area. Skeleton mages use their ice spear and wind slash attacks to cover the whole area. Because of the wind, the monster's shadow appeared. It was a level 32 hell-level elite dragon assassin. Just when the dragon assassin appeared, skeleton warriors killed it. When Lin saw their attributes, he was amazed. Those attributes were extreme, and they were using invisibility with fatal blows. Lin said, with those attributes, no wonder they can kill my warriors in one shot. There were many dragon assassins, but now Lin was not scared because he knew their invisibility would be cancelled if they got attacked, and once revealed, their advantage would disappear. Now it was easy for Lin to kill those dragon assassins. When Lin's skeleton warriors killed a level 32 dragon assassin, he gained 640,000 experience points and obtained a dragon's heart. Lin was amazed to find out that this is the monster that drops the dragon's heart. Now he wondered where the blood essence and core would be. Suddenly, the dragon archers on the castle walls used arrow rain and binding, arrow skills, and shot countless arrows at Lin. Lin didn't get hit by any of the arrows as his skeleton armor got activated, but Lin thought of a great idea when he saw the archers. Lin's skeleton warriors threw dragon assassin corpses towards the castle, and Lin used the corpse explosion skill. The dragon archers were too shocked to see Lin throwing the dragon assassin corpses, and all the corpses exploded, killing the dragon archers. Lin gained 620,000 experience points and obtained dragon blood essence after killing the dragon assassins, and with that, Lin found out that the archers dropped the blood essence. Now the only one left is the core. While Lin's skeleton warriors were killing the remaining dragon assassins and warriors, Lin went inside the castle to search for the boss monster. There was a huge dragon statue in front of Lin, which suddenly started cracking. Then the whole statue's outer surface fell on the ground. And from it, a level 33 hell-level leader, Sentry Post Guardian, came out. This was a huge monster with a face like a demon and a body like a dragon. The monster was level 33, 11 levels higher than Lin's skeletons, and it had 3 overpowered skills: crowd attack, crowd stun, and buff resistance. After seeing its attributes, Lin was a little nervous because those were terrifying attributes. It was a lot stronger than the Tyrant Desert boss, and it even had 2 crowd skills. Lin immediately backs off because the Sentry Post Guardian roars loudly. Even the ground around it gets destroyed. Lin says, I can't let it move freely with such high agility points. He uses the slow curse skill on the guardian dragon, tying it with curse chains and preventing its movement. Then all the skeleton warriors and mages attack it with their full power. Smoke is everywhere, making it barely visible, so Lin can't see if he managed to heavily injure the boss. In that smoke, 2 red eyes appear, and the guardian dragon, unscathed but angry, uses its buff resistance skill, destroying Lin's slow curse skill. The situation in battle is not good, as the slow curse is losing effect. The guardian dragon uses this opportunity to employ its crowd attack, destroying 4 skeleton warriors. Next, the guardian dragon uses the crowd stun skill, confusing and stunning all skeleton warriors, rendering them unable to respond to Lin's commands. It seizes this chance to destroy 12 skeleton warriors in one attack. Lin says, even though I can summon my skeletons again after they've been destroyed, there's a limit to my spirit. That stun skill is too dangerous. I can't let it kill my skeletons anymore. To counter this situation, Lin summons the Undead General. When the Undead General comes out, it uses its military influence bluff, and the skeleton warriors who were stunned come back to their senses. Lin is surprised to find out that military influence can remove the stun. That's not all, it's shortening the stun time, but the effect is still the same. Lin is now confident, saying, my skeletons have nothing to fear if your stun skill is useless. Now, all the skeleton warriors and mages attack the guardian dragon together with full power. The guardian dragon is now taking more damage, and its physique drops fast, with only 50% remaining. The guardian dragon again uses the crowd stun skill, but because of the undead general's military influence bluff, skeleton warriors are not affected. Lin says, "It's useless when your control skill is gone. It's my turn to attack." But before Lin could command his skeleton warriors to attack, the guardian dragon flies and comes towards Lin to attack. Lin, not expecting this, immediately uses the ultimate skill, Soul Blaze. The guardian dragon uses the stun skill, but the skeleton armor blocks the attack, and Lin doesn't get stunned. Lin counterattacks with Soul Blaze, and all the skeleton mages also attack the guardian dragon. Lin says, "Now die, you demon dragon." The guardian dragon starts to burn in Lin's green soul fire, screaming in pain. But that's not the end. All the fire mages attack with fireball attacks. Finally, Lin kills the sentry post guardian, gaining 3.3 million experience points. He obtains the gold weapon, Hell's sentry post blade, the gold weapon, Hell's sentry post shield, Hell's sentry post bracelet, and, at last, 2 dragon cores. Lin obtains a job transfer certificate and a unique title, Dragon War King. With the Dragon War King title, Lin's all attributes increase by 500, and all skill consumption is reduced by 50%. This title is obtained by solo clearing the hell difficulty of the dragon frontline post. Lin already guessed that the boss would drop the core, but he didn't think he could get the necessary transfer certificate for the second job transfer so early. Lin says, "Isn't the unique title of Dragon War King just way too overpowered?" Lin also levels up, and is now a level 23 Necromancer. Lin is happy that he is finally level 23, saying, "Now I've collected more than a quarter of the materials that are needed." Lin needs 10 Dragon's Heart, and 10 Dragon's Blood Essence, 10 Dragon's Horn, and 5 Dragon's Core. Lin currently has 8 Dragon's Horn, 4 Dragon's Blood Essence, 4 Dragon's Heart, and 2 Dragon's Core. After leveling up, Lin is now a level 23 Necromancer, with the title of Dragon War King. All his attributes have increased by 500, and skill cost is reduced by 50%. His average strength, physique, and agility are now at 900, and his spirit is at 25,000. He is equipped with a level 2 Thanatos Scythe. Lin's summoning space is 230, but there are only 210 summons right now, 140 skeleton warriors and 70 skeleton mages. In talent, Lin has 10x overall blessings. In passive skills, he has damage transfer. His active skills include level 23 Soul Blaze, summon level 23 skeleton warriors, level 23 corpse explosion, level 23 slow curse, level 23 skeleton armor, and summon level 23 skeleton mages. Lin also checks the attributes of his skeletons. Silver grade skeleton warriors are now level 23, with an average of 5,500 strength, agility, spirit, and physique. They have the Rage Strike skill. Silver grade skeleton mages are also level 23 with an average of 2,300 strength, agility, spirit, and physique. When Lin is about to teleport back, he says, "Even though it's quite difficult to fight in hell difficulty, there's a lot of experience, and the equipment dropped is good. After my skeletons recover, I'll use the cooldown talisman and clear this dungeon on hell difficulty again." Lin teleports back to the entrance of the dragon frontline outpost, but what Lin sees in front is a dry land full of monster and human corpses, with a strong stench of blood everywhere. Lin summons his skeleton armor as he doesn't know what happened there. Suddenly, abyss hounds attack Lin from behind, and Lin's skeleton armor stops their attack. Lin's skeleton warriors come out, and, using the Rage Strike skill, kill the abyss hounds that have surrounded Lin. Lin summons the Thanatos Scythe and gets ready to fight back, but suddenly someone attacks those abyss hounds from behind. They kill the abyss hounds near Lin and ask Lin to come to where they are. They are hunters from Sengxia country. While fighting, they tell Lin that this place has been taken over by the abyss hounds. A healer comes to heal him, but Lin tells her that he is not injured. The hunters tell Lin that they will block the hounds, so he should quickly use the transportation stone and get out of there. Lin asks them what happened here, and a hunter explains that the abyss released a great number of these dogs and surrounded them. Lin sees a country's party surrounded by abyss hounds. The Sengxia hunters tell Lin that their side has also suffered many casualties. The healer checks the people inside the dungeon and confirms that there is no one else left inside. The party leader decides to prepare to break through. The healer sees Lin still there and asks why he is still here. Lin smiles and raises his hand. The ground gets covered by green flames as Lin summons his skeleton warriors. Lin doesn't want to leave as he still wants to clear the dungeon. All the skeleton mages use their powerful spells, creating a huge blast with their combined attack. Abyss hounds were sent flying in all directions. The skeleton warriors started killing all the abyss hounds with their swords. The hunters were shocked and curious about where all these skeletons came from. The abyss hounds surrounded Lin and the skeleton warriors. The hunters were bewildered, wondering where these strong skeletons came from, and instinctively followed Lin's command to retreat behind him. Lin explained that he was going to use a crowd attack skill, and they might get caught in the crossfire. Lin then used the corpse explosion skill on the abyss hounds' corpses that the skeleton warriors had killed earlier. A massive blast occurred, killing all the abyss hounds. The hunters were shocked at the terrifying skill. Lin received a system message that his military merit reached 100, promoting him to a 1-star private. He obtained 1,000 points and 5 contribution points. Lin's weapon, the Thanatos Scythe, leveled up to level 3. Lin expressed surprise at receiving both points and contribution points. Lin decided not to let the hunters leave, even though he never planned to let them go in the first place. He used the corpse explosion skill again to kill the remaining abyss hounds. The hunters started speculating about Lin, thinking he might be a top student from a distinguished academy to solo clear the dungeon. They were amazed that Lin solo cleared the Dragon Frontline outpost in hell difficulty. Lin received another system message that his military merit reached 200, promoting him to a 2-star private. His Thanatos Scythe leveled up to level 4. As the smoke cleared, Lin saw there were still abyss hounds left. He expressed disappointment that he could only kill around 200 abyss hounds, and hoped more abyss monsters would appear. Other hunters were scared, thinking about the sudden appearance of so many abyss hounds and fearing a large-scale attack from the abyss. A hunter named Shi Xing'an approached Lin and introduced himself as a level 31 paladin from Xiajing Academy. Lin greeted him and introduced himself as a level 23 necromancer from Xiajing Academy. Shi Xing'an smiled upon finding out that Lin was a fellow junior. He asked Lin about his batch, and Lin, not being able to tell the time accurately in the UN battlefield, mentioned that he attended the opening ceremony yesterday. The hunters were astonished to learn that Lin was a new student. Hunters looked at each other and thought, are all the new students like this? Shouldn't a new student be level 15 or 16, and focusing on the academy now? The paladin smiled and said, Lin, you just entered the academy but have this kind of strength. No wonder you're at the UN battlefield alone and can even take on hell difficulty yourself. I'm very impressed. Lin downplayed it, and he asked the paladin why his party wasn't entering the dungeon. Another hunter from the paladin's party joined them, pointing out that the paladin couldn't tank the monsters well enough. They had tried nightmare difficulty and almost got wiped out. The paladin defended himself, saying he was only level 29 then and didn't have proper equipment. He mentioned that he was left with only the shield, and it wasn't sold anywhere. Once it dropped in the dungeon, and he completed his set, they could try nightmare difficulty again. The paladin turned to Lin and offered to sell him some equipment for a cheap price, mentioning that the sentry post set is very good. Lin, wanting to show his own fiend, opened his inventory and took out the Hell's sentry post shield. This surprised the paladin and other hunters since it was a gold-grade defensive equipment from the sentry post set. The paladin asked where Lin got it, and Lin explained he obtained it from the sentry post guardian. The hunters were shocked, and Lin suggested the paladin try equipping the whole set. When the paladin wore the full set, his whole body started to shine brightly in golden light. The paladin explained that it was the full set special effect. The hunters were amazed that someone had collected the full sentry post set, which was even better than some platinum-grade equipment. The paladin, excited, offered to buy the shield from Lin for 10 million gold coins. Lin hesitated but eventually agreed to sell it for 5 million gold coins. The paladin was overjoyed and thanked Lin. The hunters were grateful too, expressing their readiness to move on to the next challenge, nightmare difficulty. The paladin said they would go back first as there would be a lot of talk after equipping the full set. Lin also decided to return to recover some spirit. He destroyed the returning crystal to return to the Yuan battlefield's internet walls. Meanwhile, in the Abyss space, the Abyss Lord was furious about the loss of many Abyss hounds. He ordered his powerful warriors to investigate the situation. As the monster warrior there was releasing a strong aura. The paladin thanked Lin again, expressing his surprise at gathering the full set in one day. They were now preparing for their next dungeon attack. Suddenly, Lin hears that there is a Holy Knight. Everyone is amazed to see the legendary class Holy Knight from the Zhendan Academy. Ning Yiyi is also there and talking to that Holy Knight. When Lin sees her, a smile comes to his face. Lin says, "What a coincidence." Ning Yiyi is surprised when she hears a familiar voice and sees that it's Lin. She asks Lin why he is here. Lin responds, "I came here to finish a task." Yiyi says, "What a coincidence. I'm here to complete my task too." The Holy Knight looks at Lin with curiosity. Yiyi tells Lin to let her guess and wonders if his task is related to collecting materials from the dragon race, such as the dragon's horn. She corrects herself, thinking it might be too simple for him, and suggests that his task is to get the dragon's core that only the boss drops. Lin confirms she guessed it right, but doesn't reveal that it's not just the core. Yiyi jumps and says, "Me too. I also need to gather the dragon's core." The Holy Knight Zhou Lisheng comes from behind and asks Yiyi who Lin is. Yiyi introduces Lin as her friend. Zhou Lisheng introduces himself as a level 30 Holy Knight, and Lin introduces himself as a level 23 Necromancer. Yiyi is surprised that Lin reached level 23 so fast, mentioning she's only level 21. Lin suggests they can team up like before, with him carrying Yiyi in dungeons. Yiyi agrees, but Zhou Lisheng stops her, grabbing her hand and says, "Yiyi, didn't we agree that I'll help you?" Yiyi declines his offer, saying she doesn't need his help and that Lin knows how to carry. Zhou Lisheng looks at Lin angrily and questions how Lin, being only level 23, can carry Yiyi alone. Yiyi rejects his assistance, and Zhou Lisheng, annoyed, says Lin is a pretentious bastard, thinking Lin is looking down on him despite Lin not saying anything. Yiyi grabs Lin's hand and tells him not to worry, saying Zhou Lisheng is good. She asks Lin which difficulty they are going to clear, normal or nightmare. Lin surprises her by saying hell difficulty. Yiyi is shocked when she hears that.